Hi, my name is Maddie, and my rabbit died today. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I don't think I should film this now. I'm gonna wait a few days, I think. See you in... I want my bunny back. I just want Fig back. I'm gonna film this in a few days. Hi, we're back. It's been almost a week since Fig passed away. I feel like I have all of the tears and everything out of me. Like, I don't feel as though I could cry anymore. You can hear the train. I'm high on the beach in my favorite place on earth. It's incredibly beautiful. Like, I absolutely love it here, but Fig is not here, and I am a little bit maybe Maddie high on the beach, but I thought this is kind of the only way I'm going to be able to talk about it without bursting into tears. So, if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Maddie. I talk about eating disorder, recovery, my life, and what I've been up to. That's what I usually say. But today is going to be about Fig. And if you don't know, Fig is my Holland Lop rabbit. She was almost 8 years old. I got her when she was a baby. And it's funny, my story about getting Fig. I was in second year university and I really wanted a pet. I grew up with dogs, guinea pigs, hamsters, fish. I loved animals, and I was actually thinking about getting a rat. But their lifespan is only like 2 or 3 years, and I don't think I could deal with that, obviously. And I was at the pet store, and I would not recommend getting animals at a pet store. Obviously, shelter, adopt, don't shop. From now on, I will be doing that, but I don't know, it was 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, and anyway, that's not the point of the story. I got Fig at a pet store. I just saw the rabbits, and I should have known more about rabbits, let's be honest. But in my mind, and this is very incorrect, I sort of thought that a rabbit would kind of be like a hamster, and obviously you should be keeping hamsters in enriched environments and big cages and, you know, whatnot. But most people, like myself, had like small hamster cages, or when I had guinea pigs, you know, they were in a cage, they weren't free range, and I sort of thought a rabbit would kind of be like that. But I got Fig, and I was incredibly wrong. Fig was much more of a dog than my dog was. Fig, she knew when I was sad. She knew when it was time to eat. She knew when I was at the fridge to get her food. She was up on the couch with me. She slept with me. She was not caged by the end, because when I first got her, I had a cage for her, and I realized very quickly that she was not meant for a cage. But she was with me through it all. And, you know, I had her before my eating disorder even started. So, like, I had her, I think, yeah, 2 years before my eating disorder started. So the dark times of my life have all been with Fig. And she was just the best bunny in the whole world. And yeah, I really don't know what I'm going to do without her. I'm actually very grateful that I'm at my cottage, so that a trigger warning or whatever, I'm going to talk about her passing. And maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it just for myself to get out there, because I think it's good to talk about. But if that bothers you, then don't watch the end of this video. We did euthanize her, and I know that's a very controversial topic, but I'm gonna get into it without crying my fucking eyes out. But here we go. So Fig was old. She was an old rabbit. A few years ago, she was diagnosed with these like eye problems, which weren't hurting her, but it just kind of meant like her vision was blurry, but you could kind of see that's kind of when things sort of started to go downhill. I took her to the vet regularly. I clipped her nails. I kept her groomed. I think I knew her behavior pretty well, so I knew if she was sick. I knew if, you know, if she was acting a certain way. Anyway, and it was like vice versa. When I was sad, she would come stay with me. And anyway, the sun is about to go down, so I can't ramble because I will be in the dark. And then she got an ear infection, and she started to get this chronic head tilt, which I think I mentioned, and that eventually went away. And then, you know, she got older, so I noticed she started not exercising as much. So, oh my god, this is so hypocritical for my channel, but she started to get a little bit overweight, and for a rabbit that's not good because they need to they just, obviously you need to be able to, anyway, she was overweight. My fault for feeding her too much. And then she got this tear duct problem, and she just sort of slowed down. And in the past kind of 2 or 3 months, I've noticed her just being more lethargic, and I don't know, I just can't describe it. She wasn't just herself. And I took her to the vet, and they said, it's just old age, it's just old age. And then about a week ago, I noticed she was being more affectionate. Like, she would come and rest her head on my foot, like, all the time. Or she would always have her head resting on things, and she was not eating as her treats all the time. Like, usually I'd give her, blueberries or something, and she would just eat them all right away. And she was eating them, but not as quickly. And then this is where I get upset, because I should never have left her. But I was coming to my cottage here for 2 weeks, and I left her with my family to take care of. And they've done that before. This is my old house, so Fig spent most of her life at that house, so it wasn't like a completely new environment for her. She was in the place where she grew up, essentially. Like, she's only been in my apartment for, I guess, 4 months now, and the rest of her life was at this place. So, and my family had taken care of her before, so I trusted them. But I had the feeling, I don't know, I had a feeling she wasn't doing well. And I left in the car on Sunday morning, and we got about 4 hours to where my cottage is. It's a 12-hour drive. And my family member called, and they just said she's not good. Like, she is not doing well. So we stopped, and you can hear the train again. He took a video of her, and we FaceTimed, and I could just sort of tell her behavior, and I knew she was not doing well. So we turned the car back, and I came home, and my family had taken her straight to the vet. So we met Fig at the veterinary clinic. And in the car, they had called and said that she was critically ill. She had a lung infection, which I guess I didn't notice, and was just not doing well. And so we had a very hard conversation on the phone, and I had 3 options. One was to go through, very intrusive x-rays and blood tests, and all these invasive tests to figure out exactly what was wrong, to treat her even though she was at old age, and these invasive tests might have actually been fatal to her. Anyway, the second option was to put her on, I'm forgetting my words again. It's basically that word when someone's dying. It's not prenatal. I know it's not prenatal. That's gonna come to me. But essentially, palliative care, I think. Stay with someone until they pass away, and she would be on pain meds, and that would mean me being with her, force feeding her all day, because she wasn't eating at this point. So I would have to be force feeding her with a syringe, giving her pain meds all day, just to kind of reduce her pain, to wait until she died, which they said would be no more than a week. So I would just be taking her home and watching her die. And the third option was to euthanize her there. And the vet asked, well, are you ready to euthanize her now? And I said, well, I'm never going to be ready, but I selfishly want to bring her home, and I want to, prolong her life. But that if she was just going to be in pain and only be around for 3 or 4 more days, and those days would be like in agony, I didn't want to put her through that for myself. And I'm going to get into the details here. So it was just me at this point, and the veterinary technician said, do you want some time with her? So at this point, I was bawling, and I had a mask on, and my mask was soaked. And I was in the room. I was in the room with Fig, and I had some time with her, and she was not Fig. She was, I usually put my hand under her mouth, and she would start licking me all the time, and she just wasn't licking me. Her eyes were glazed over, like she was floppy in my arms. Like, usually she kind of, when you pick her up, she does tense up a little bit, and she was just nothing. So I kind of knew that she was ready to go. And so I had 5 minutes, and I was crying and holding her and hugging her, and the veterinary clinic came back. And it was actually a very peaceful process. Fig was not responsive to anything, so it wasn't hard. But they gave her, administered like a gas, so that put her to sleep. And essentially, then that took a few minutes and she was just not moving. Like you could see her breathing, but just not moving. You know, you'd tickle her feet and she would, even in her sleep, she would kick them back and she just was not there. And then they inject her heart with I don't know what it is, and she just was gone. Um, and the vet originally asked if I wanted to cremate her. And I've always wanted to cremate her because I don't know, and spread them here. I would have loved to spread them here. Fig was here last summer and she's come here before and she loves it here. But unfortunately, I then left for my, we said goodbye and I was bawling, like real screaming tears, like in the car. I also didn't eat that day, which I need to watch it now. I know that with my eating disorder, because I'm not hungry. Like I'm not hungry. Yeah, and so I had to decide if I wanted to stay at my apartment or come to my cottage the next day. So I went back to my apartment, obviously, for that night, and I couldn't be there with all of Fig's stuff in her house, and I just knew, like, I need some time away from that space. So the next morning at 5 a.m. we got up again and we drove the 12 hours to get here. And it's been really hard. I had work again today, and I guess we all know my name. So I had to write a story. It's a really cool story on the discovery of a aircraft bomber that crashed in Newfoundland in 1943, and it was discovered by one of our residents, what do they call, the fellow Jill Einherth, who I really love. She's like one of my idols. So I got to interview her today, which is really cool. But that story was written and published today. If you want to look at it, on the discovery of this bomber, it'll be on Canadian Geographic. But that was excruciating. I was not ready to just jump straight back into that. And I know this week's gonna be tough. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, but I miss my bunny. So that's it. I could go on and on about my favorite memories about Fig, her love of bananas and blueberries and her funny flops and her binkies and all the time she would piss me off too. She started, as she got older, she wasn't losing the litter box as much, so she'd be peeing on the floor, and I wouldn't do anything to her, but I would just get mad at her, for peeing on the floor all the time. And I wish I was more accepting of that, and I don't know. Anyway, my pinky finger broke today. I slipped and fell and then burst into tears. I came back from a walk and I never slip. I'm not someone that falls or trips or anything, but I slipped and smashed my hand on the ground and broke my pinky nail, which is like the least of my worries. But it was like I hadn't cried all day and I fell and it didn't even hurt. I mean, this hurt, but I just burst into tears and I think I lay on the ground for like 7 minutes just crying. It was a hard day. I feel like also at work, a lot of things got thrown at me, just like emails and things, and I was not thinking I couldn't do work today, but I did, because you gotta move on. Anyway, that's all. I don't know if I'll be posting this week or next week, because I'm really tired. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go smoke another joint. What am I having for dinner? I'm forcing myself to eat, and I'm just having the most basic dinners, and maybe this is not what I should be doing, but when I don't want to eat, I make very bland dinners, so I'm having a chicken breast, white rice, and sauteed zucchini. This has got your fat. Actually, it doesn't have your fat really. It's got your carb, your protein, and your veg, but I need to add a fat. I'll do like olive oil or something. Okay, I'm just gonna ramble now. The sun has gone down and it's getting kind of cold. But this is a cool background. I couldn't bother to care about anything.